Hey everybody, this is Perch, and this is one of those correction type videos where I want to say I said something incorrect, or not. It's not as much incorrect, just wrong, or maybe said wrong is a better way to put it. But I did a video a little bit ago about characters that were created to die, and the basic premise was that I was trying to convey was, not all characters in comics, not all creations are equal. And when you create the main protagonist, when you create a Spider-Man or a Batman or what have you, then part of their origin story can include the tragic origin or the person who's going to die to make them a better person. And what I went down a path a little bit, which a few of you complained about, of this fridging, the women in refrigerators that Gail Simone put out a while ago, was really kind of talking about the Kyle Green Lantern girlfriend stuffed in a refrigerator, and that was supposed to meaningfully help him. That'd be a good video to kind of just really zoom in on more, because in all seriousness, did Kyle's girlfriend dying in the fridge mean much to his origin? I mean, if you're a big Green Lantern fan, you might say yes, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't know that had much to do with anything. It was a moment in his story, but I don't know that was really a crux to making him who he was. But anyway, we'll get past that. But you look at other characters. Why I was picking at that a little bit is because some of the most famous examples of the tragic death to lead to the origin include things like Bruce Wayne's parents, Thomas and Martha. And Thomas had, I don't know, less than 5 panels before he was dead. That was kind of his contribution. Uncle Ben in Spider-Man was another one. And so I think to say that, that part of the narrative had become that, female characters are created so male characters can evolve. And I think that's your classic kind of, 2015 level of nonsense that, we're supposed to look at everything through a lens of sexism and so on. But the reality is this practice has been going on for a long time. Whether you like it or you hate it, I think it's fair if you say, I don't, think characters should die in behalf of somebody else's story, but you'd be foolish to admit that, that doesn't happen. And it hasn't happened for a long time, and it happens pretty equally, male and female. It's not one sex over the other. This happens all over the place. And I personally don't think it's a bad thing. Look, I mean, you have a story. Not everyone is of equal weighting in the story. And as an aside, I do think that this is part of the problem of modern comics, where you get these fan favorites, and this is probably the only part of fan service that I do think is negative, is you get fan favorites, and suddenly there becomes this imperative to treat that character as equal to the main character, but they were never intended to be like that. And that gets in a little bit to where I think I misspoke, or at least I didn't present my thesis well, or I didn't give my ideas well, and that was around Gwen Stacy. So I said, and I used her as an example of a character whose death, was ultimately driving Spider-Man forward. And I think I said something along the lines, I tied it too closely, and the character was created, in behalf of the main character. And because I was talking about characters dying, the way it came across was Gwen Stacy was created to die. I said the same thing about Elektra. And no, that's wrong. So I said that wrong. That's on me. Gwen Stacy obviously was around for quite a while before it was determined that her death was going to be the thing to drive the story forward. Same thing with Elektra. And there's others examples too. I think, you could throw Jean Grey into this, that some people have said, well, Jean Grey's death was, really just a woman dying for a man, i.e. Cyclops. But that's not true either. But obviously these characters had a history and a track, and they were doing things before their death. So I want to clear that up. I still think, though, Jean Grey makes a little bit more of a troublesome argument because I was different. But if you're looking at Elektra in Daredevil, for example, when Elektra was created, she was not created to supersede Daredevil. She was not created as a character that was going to, be bigger than the character whose book she was created for. Same thing with Gwen Stacy. There's a difference between saying the character is created to die and the character was designed to be a supporting character. This may irritate all kinds of people who are Spider-Man fans, but love it or hate it, Mary Jane is a supporting character to Peter Parker. She is an important one, and I think she's been neglected, and I think through the marriage and everything else, they were on the way to making her stronger character that could carry her own. And I don't know, it was that video or a different video, talked about, one really powerful thing they could do if they really want to empower MJ and please the fans at the same time, is have MJ go on the quest to restore their marriage. And that would be a powerful moment for her. And I think would rise her, her overall profile. But overall, if you look at these comics, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is the main character. He was designed to be the center of attention, and the supporting cast was built up around him, whether it's, Harry Osborn, whether it's MJ, whether it's Gwen Stacy, whether it's Ned Leeds, whether it's J. Jonah Jameson, or any number of people. That's how it was created. And so, when the supporting character gets popular, sometimes it takes on a life of its own. I mean, Rob Liefeld said different things at different times, and Fabian certainly had a play in it as well. But, when you look at Deadpool was created to be a supporting character in X-Force, and then he became bigger. Anyone who tells you, including Rob, that the second Deadpool was created, he believed he would be the star of multiple movies and the character would break out, that's simply not true. Now, you can have confidence in your creations. That's great. But that wasn't the initial, origin of that character. And I'm glad the character took off, and it's great when they do. Trust me. I mean, you can go further back. Wolverine, when Wolverine was created and showed up in the Hulk, there was no thought at that moment that they were creating the next breakout character that was going to, carry movie franchises and everything else. Again, nice when it happens. But, you look at the origin to a lot of these characters, and you look at how they were created, and it may sound weird to say it this way, but Gwen Stacy was created in order to enhance Peter Parker. It's Peter Parker's story, and Gwen Stacy was meant to play a role in it. And ultimately, the decision became that her death would play a role in it. And that's how the story was evolved. There's nothing, sexist, or I'm certainly not racist in this case, but there's nothing ist about any of this. It's just how stories develop, and it's how stories are planned. And I think there's way too many kind of knee-jerk reactions that you see online and other places that say, "Oh, hey, you killed off this character that we like. You killed off the supporting character, and I'm not happy about that. So therefore, it's time to throw out the encyclopedia of insults about all the bad things you are." It's, we're not satisfied with maybe in the 70s, people saying, "I hate that you did this. I love that character. I'm very disappointed you do this." Instead, we've got new weapons to use. You're a bigot. You're a sexist. You're a Nazi, whatever it happens to be. But in reality, it's just people being upset that their favorite character died. And I get that. We all can. But we can't lose track of this fact that a lot of these characters were created to serve a different story. And this is a tale as old as time. You see it in almost every story or book or movie. It is a very classic trope, and it happens to all types of characters. It happens to animals. It happens to all things. There's poor old Atreus there in the swamp of desperation, and the horse just murders itself. It commits suicide out of sadness. That was meant to drive his story forward. It's also a great way to torture your children. If they want to see a kid's movie and they're being super annoying, you put in that never-ending story and you go ahead and give them some trauma for the rest of their lives. It's awesome. But anyway, this is what what the name of the game, to some extent, of what this story is all about. And but a number of people came in the comments and said, "Hey, are you insane? Gwen Stacy wasn't created just to die." You're correct. She's created to be a supporting character. And at some point, the decision was made, the supporting character's death would mean more to the main character, and they killed her. And that's just what happened. So anyway, I'm not the YouTuber who sits in and tries to twist myself into a pretzel if I say something incorrect, and I did. So there you go. Incorrect said. Hopefully that point of view makes a little bit more sense to everybody, and feel free to attack it as well. We'll see what happens. Anyway, hope you're doing well, and thanks for listening.